Hi everyone, I'm Don from Langara Makerspace, and today we're going to show you how to prepare your STL 3D file for printing on our Tinkerine Ditto Pro 3D printers. So first off, you're going to need to save your 3D object in whatever software you've built it in as an STL file. There is a link right above this video that will show you how to export an STL using Rhino 3D and also Fusion 360. If you're using a different program and don't know how, you can find out on the help menu of the program. Remember, it's an STL file we want to output. So once you have your file, we want to open up the Tinkerine Suite. There's also a link below this video where you can get a free copy of this for your computer. And this is version 3. It's the latest version. So first of all, we want to go up here and click on Import. Now, just a quick note here. If you're using an Apple Macintosh computer, the Tinkerine software has known to crash when you're importing your STL file and also on the final slicing operation. If it does crash, don't be alarmed. Just reopen the Tinkerine software and import your STL again. However, if it does crash more than about 3 times, then there could be something wrong with your actual STL file and you may need to go back to the original program and review it. So again, click on Import and we want to find your STL file. There's my USB mini, so I'm going to open that up. And there's the file there. And you can see we've got rings around this. When I roll over them, they change colors. Those are to rotate the object around, okay? Now saying that, if you click into a space not quite around the object and right click and then drag your mouse, you can fly around the object. The object's not moving, we're just flying around it, or the camera view of it, okay? Now, if it is the wrong scale, you can go down here. I recommend building models in millimeters. That's what this program understands. If you've built it in something else, it may come in as the wrong scale, so you're going to have to change this. You can ask your instructor, you can go online for help, or you can actually email me if you want to, okay? Now there's a few other things here. You'll notice you have to be clicked on the object to see these. So you can also grab your object and you can move it along. By the way, you see how it's gray there? I'm out of the print area. Only when it's green am I good to go, okay? So let's say I dragged it over here. I can go center. It's going to go back to the center. I can move it over to here, tilt it up a bit, and I can go reset, and it's going to go back to the last command I did. So remember, that's only to the last command. It's something you may want to do here is duplicate. So again, make sure you're on the object, hit duplicate. Now this is how many copies, not the total, but how many. So if I want 1 more, if I want 2 more, that's going to create them. And it usually lays them pretty close together, which you kind of want. Because you don't want the printer head to travel any more than it has to. So if I put one here and one over here, that's not good, because the print head has to travel all the way back and forth, which increases the print time, of course. See what happens when I hit reset here. It doesn't do much. If you want to delete any of those, just select it and hit delete. I'm just going to go center, and that's in the center again. So right now I'm happy with this object. I'm not going to rotate it, but I'm going to talk about it later when we get into the supports down here. So for right now, this looks really good. The text is upright, it's grounded there, it's the right size. The first setting up here is called the resolution. Now let's just click on that. So standard is usually medium, and I've printed a lot of things around Makerspace, and I find that medium resolution is always the best. I don't need high resolution. Why you may need high resolution, basically that's the amount of layers the print head's going to print. So Yes, it will come out a little more refined if you use high resolution. If your object's really detailed, or if there's really tiny details, then I would probably go to the high resolution. Keep in mind, if you go up higher, it's going to take longer to print. Again, I would usually leave it at medium resolution. The prints comes out great at medium. The next setting is the infill. Now the infill is the actual, so in this flat area here, it would look like this from the, if you held a light up to it. So it's this grid that goes inside of this object to fill it up. I would usually use sparse. Again, it's more than adequate. Dense, I would use it if your object is going to be under any stress at all. Keeping in mind, PLA plastic is pretty brittle as it is. But if you want to make it a little stronger, then you can go dense. Or if your object's very thin or something, you might want to use dense setting for that. Okay, so usually I'd go medium, I go sparse. The next setting is the wall thickness. So you can see in this area here, this looks pretty thick. Well, this isn't the wall thickness. That's how I've built my object. So each side of that wall there would be like this. So I usually keep it at 2 walls. Again, I don't think there's any reason to go up to 4 walls. Unless you're doing something like, let's say you're doing a sphere without any filling on the inside, then yeah, you need some strength in the actual skin, really, is what it is of the object. So I would only boost that up if you're doing something like that. And then the last setting here is the supports. Now, let's talk about supports here. So my go-to is usually, if you're standing, picture yourself standing upright, you probably don't need supports. Now stick one arm straight out. Now you need a support. Think about supports as anything that's up in the air. So an overhang. How is the printer, it starts at the bottom and prints up. How is the printer going to print your arm if there's nothing there to print it on? And I'll give you an example of this. I'm going to rotate this up. Now, first of all, the best way to print text is upright like this. Comes out really nice. The worst print on this is going to be underneath the bottom. So keep that in mind. This doesn't need any supports right now. The text is going to print fine. Now I'm just going to rotate this up. If you hold shift while you're doing this, it'll go in 45-degree increments. And now we're at 90. It'll always bottom itself out to the bottom plane, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so now, as you can see, this is in the air. We need supports now, okay? Whoops. And now those letters are going to need supports too. Let me see if I can zoom around so you can see. So each letter is going to have supports in between it just to be able to print that. So that print is not going to turn out very, very well. Supports are, it's a lot thinner, PLA, but it does leave little nibs all of your objects. So you always try to avoid supports if you can. So that's also why maybe your object came in like this. You may want to rotate your object to a different orientation so it's going to print better or print without supports. So for support, if you can print without them, great. Your print will, if I printed this though without supports, the print would fail because it's got too much it would have to print in the air. So if you're going to use supports, I don't recommend exterior. I don't trust the algorithm in this program. Just go to full. Okay, so that's going to print full supports to be able to print those overhangs. Now the other thing is enable brim. Brim is just a layer that it prints out on the bottom. Right now, that object is a little slight on the bottom, so I probably would do a brim. If you're doing a sphere, which is very little contact place, I would do a brim at the bottom. Just gives it a good foundation to print from. Again, don't use the brim if you don't have to. When this is laying flat, it doesn't need a brim at all. So I'm going to put brim on. Going to put the supports on. And then the final stage in this is to go slice. So I'm just going to do that to show you what it looks like with supports here. So it's going to be generating the supports in gray. And this is basically when it's slicing, it's creating the G code for the printer. So now down here we can see it's going to be 1 hour and 50 minutes. And it's going to use 19 grams of PLA. And this is a slider to show you how it's actually going to be printed out. So these are all the slices basically. See, all that gray is the supports. So now what you would just do is go print, and that's going to basically allow you to save your file to the computer or your USB. But I want to edit this and show you the difference. That's 1 hour and 50 minutes. Let's go edit. I'm going to rotate that back down, holding Shift. This is going to print really well now. I'm going to turn the supports off. I'm going to turn the brim off. And then I'm going to go slice. Now it doesn't have to generate any supports. And there we go. Now we're down from 150 to 1 hour and 19 and 15 grams. And this will print much better. So we just go print again, save it to USB, save it to computer, wherever you need the file. Now, if you are going to upload this for submission for Makerspace to output this for you, you will have to zip compress it. And the instructions are in the first box on this page where you saw this video. It's under zip compression, and it tells you how to do that. So I hope this has helped you, and you can email me if you have any questions. See you next time.